You did something very courageous. You let go of a man that wasn't fit to carry you, and you have made room for the man that is. See, a lot of times, the type of man I'm talking about tonight, and I just want to be clear because all men are not this way. But the type of man I'm talking about tonight is the type of man that loves to occupy your space in time. See, this type of spirit wants to occupy space and time in your heart, in your spirit, and in your physical world. Because if a man can keep you on a string with breadcrumbs that he's bringing to your table, then that's all he needs to keep you tethered to a fantasy. But I thank God for the spirit of truth, because the spirit of truth was your remedy. You were able to wake up from your slumber and see it for what it really was. You were able to stand in your power, admit your truth, and really be okay with it, even though it hurt, even though it may have stung, even though you were disappointed. But what you got from God was clarity and courage. A healing journey for a woman is quite different from a man. As women, we are so emotional. We just hold everything, in our heart. God created us to love, to nurture, to multiply, to uplift, to see infinite possibilities in just stuff that's really small. And because of that, the devil loves to play around with a woman's heart. What he loves most is really to find his way into your mind to keep you hooked into toxic connections. The devil wants to keep you in connections that are emotionally manipulative, narcissistic, toxic, and dysfunctional. And a lot of times we slip into these type of relationships because of the way that God has designed us. And just depending on what we have gone through in life, when we're not 100% healed, we tend to stick around because of potential. But one thing that God has given me the insight to is that potential is not real. The devil wants you hooked on potential, hooked on fantasy, and not reality. But when you sit still and allow God to really mend your heart, allow the word of God to minister to you, allow the spirit of holiness to rest upon you, then there's no longer any fog. You can see clearly. You can see clearly. See, that man that was so used to you showing up when everything went wrong in his life, he no longer has access to your emotional capacity. He has no access to your emotional resonance, your light, your pure, powerful, rich, anointed self. He no longer has access to that. So now he's there standing alone on his own to deal with himself. It's nothing like a man that likes to pull a woman into the utter chaos of his mind. The other chaos of his mind. See, a lot of you are very strong, very courageous, very driven, very educated, very beautiful from the inside out because you had no choice but sit with God and do the work. And because sometimes men are told that it's more of us than them, then they go on a quest sometimes. Not all men I'm talking about, some men, and they go from woman to woman looking for a remedy, looking for a rescue, looking for an emotional doormat, looking for someone to use over and over and over again. And although it may be a lot of women to one man, what is not a lot of is a lot of fearless, extraordinary women, virtuous women, women that are actually sitting down doing work on themselves, somebody that don't have to post their whole body on Instagram for attention, but somebody that posts the things of God to save a soul. See that right there? That's rare. That's what you are. And you are the type of woman that men don't stumble upon a whole lot because you stand out and your spirit is a whole lot different than the pack. And a lot of times, what happens is because we're designed to build things and to multiply them and to see the possibility in a little bit of things, we stick around and we allow people to have access to us that never had the capacity to really cover us. They didn't have the capacity to pray for you, to cover you, to provide for you, to partner with you, to really build a foundation with. See, a lot of times, the type of man I'm talking about tonight, and I just want to be clear because all men are not this way, but the type of man I'm talking about tonight is the type of man that loves to occupy your space in time. See, this type of spirit wants to occupy space and time in your heart, in your spirit, and in your physical world. Because if a man can keep you on a string with breadcrumbs that he's bringing to your table, then that's all he needs to keep you tethered to a fantasy. But I thank God for the spirit of truth, because the spirit of truth was your remedy. You were able to wake up from your slumber and see it for what it really was. You were able to stand in your power, admit your truth, and really be okay with it, even though it hurt, even though it may have stung, even though you were disappointed. But what you got from God was clarity and courage, because it takes courage and a woman that is really strong to admit a wrong, a woman that's really courageous to admit feeling in a relationship, a woman that is set apart, that is willing to learn and not look back into your past but move forward in your future. See, a lot of people want to run around here and say that they're kings, but they don't have the character, the spirit, anything that a king has. You have to think about that. Just like every woman is not a queen, okay? You have to work on yourself. You have to do the work. And I am so proud of you for doing the work. The work is not easy. It's some of the most difficult things that you will ever have to do, because a lot of time we have to break the pattern of being something that God never intended for us to be in the first place. And because you got real honest with you, not so that you could get a man, just so you could stand in your own power, your own spirit, your own energy aligned with God. It wasn't a breakup, it was a rebirth. It wasn't a letdown, baby. It was alignment. And anything that's not in the will of God, no matter how nice it looks, no matter how established it is, no matter how powerful they are with words, it does not matter. It's only what that person does for the Lord that really, truly really does matter. Because a man that can pray for you, that can show up for real, that has integrity, that can partner with you, that understands you as the weaker vessel and will pray for you in the middle of the night when you are sleeping. A man that shows up, a man that's not a coward, that says a whole bunch of what they gonna do and never get around to it, but a man who shows up and his actions matches his words. And I am so proud of each and every one of you women. Even though you may be alone, even though you may be lonely, you're lonely only because you've cleared up space for the one that's worthy to stand in your presence. I want you to think about that tonight. I want you to think about this on tonight, because it takes a lot to be you, to be real, to be courageous, to be bold. That right there is powerful. And a lot of people don't have what you have. So I'm so proud of you tonight. I just wanted to tell you this tonight. I wish I could just come on here and just have a conversation without getting so caught up. But I'm so passionate about what I'm talking about. And I'm so passionate about helping my sisters, about helping women break free from the trick that the enemy tries to use to distract you so that you will never get your spiritual breakthrough. Because believe it or not, you're here to do more than fantasize about a man. Think about that. I love you. Peace. And I still be believing in you. Have a good night.